Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to Daily Update, my 1000 Days Challenge. Apologies for the late update because I was doing some work and then there was also a very large crash in terms of crypto itself. I'll explain a little bit more about what I did and also what you can potentially do still now if you're watching this video at its current price level itself. Alright, otherwise, in terms of market update itself, you can see I've dropped around 300 in terms of equity, around 370, and 100 is due to the 1R is based on the main trading account setup. It was on the link taking stop loss. And then for the other one, there will be the experimental trade setup, whereby I made a couple of mistakes. I was actually, I would say I was going a little bit too aggressive on even shorter time frame, like on the 3-minute and 15-minute chart, which was a little bit too aggressive for me, I would say, at this moment. So I've scaled back down a little bit on that, the update a little bit in terms of the price itself later today as well. All right, otherwise, if we look in terms of market structure updates now, it seems that we have a reversal right now. So US and China market seems to be flip-flopping, whereby when US market is a little bit weak or weaker itself, then you get the China market bouncing itself. So it seems like that is the case right now. In the case of Bitcoin, it seems to be following the US market in that perspective. So over in terms of Bitcoin itself, you can see there was a very gap downwards towards the downside. And similarly for S&P 500 will actually gap downwards and we are now finding support at this 50 simple moving average, which in my opinion is actually a good place to start adding in if you are still new to shares. Or you could potentially be like adding in 10% here, another 20% here, and even more if it does come down towards this area of value itself. All right. Otherwise, if you're looking in terms of Nasdaq, similarly same thing. I would say this 150 simple moving average and this horizontal yellow support will be a great position or great region to be looking to add into shares as well. All right, and moving on into ASH, like I mentioned, consolidating right below here is definitely expected because I did mention that right now if you draw this to this trend line, we actually do have somewhat like a resistance line itself. So as long as we consolidate above this 150 simple moving average and they're sloping upwards with this 50 simple moving average now also tilting upwards itself is actually a really good bullish sign in my opinion. And similarly for KMAP itself, it looks to be good. Like I say, as long as we can strongly bounce above this 20 exponential moving average, gaining some momentum on it and break above, potentially we could regain the momentum back on track onto the bullish upside momentum itself. And finally, for Bitcoin itself, so Bitcoin now faces a very huge capitulation kind of a structure. So the reason why I say that potentially this is a very strong capitulation event is because you can see that on the daily chart itself, we actually fall from the top to the bottom, it will be a 31% drop itself. And this is excluding the fact that previously we already did drop quite substantially from here to here itself. So if you look in terms of the top to bottom, we've actually fallen 53%, which is a very distinct and significant drop itself. And so to me, it's a very great value or position to add. And if we do fall below there, you will notice that between the 30K to 18K or 20K mark, we don't really have much other major support. So this 30K mark was actually a very distinct point. And in fact, I actually did get in a little bit at the 33K mark for Bitcoin itself, because I see there's a very strong key support. And then once it was support at 30K mark, I was keen to get in again. Does that mean they will not break below it? That's not saying that I think anything is for certain when it comes to trading or investment. But what I'm saying there is definitely good value to be getting in over here. And even if we do face some sort of a short-term or even mid-term kind of bearish momentum and setup, then potentially we could definitely very much revisit this 20K region itself. So in the meantime, let's see how price react to it. But if you do recall over here, the last time we see that kind of strong volume, and we have still 8 hours more to go. The closest we get was somewhere along here, where we got a strong rejection over here in terms of volume itself. Or even over here, whereby we have really, really strong selling pressure, but we still managed to find support. And then after that, we actually tested this support again before we actually bounded towards the upside of things. So even though there is somewhat like a descending triangle, things still remains to be bullish because ultimately we stay on the upward trend. However, do bear in mind that right now we have broken down and we are somewhere in a bearish trend. But if you look in terms of previous so-called capitulation wise, this will be the closest we can get in the year March 2020 itself. So over here we get a very nice sharp drop on the single day itself, with no clear sign of support, whereby it was only a 40% drop from peak to peak. Whereas over here, how much did we get? Sorry, I forget. So let's just reimagine it again. we're only getting a 31% drop. So I wouldn't say that it's the worst or end of the world itself. So this type of capitulation is actually a good thing in my opinion. Even if we do continue it towards another capitulation again for tomorrow, in my opinion, if you see the total length itself, so from this top to the bottom, we actually face a 51% drop itself. So 51.69%. And if you compare it from the top to the bottom, you are also seeing a similar 51% itself. Or 53.67 itself. So to me, it's a really great position if you're adding it somewhere along here. In fact, right now, this current value 37K, I'll still say it's a decent place to add in. Although if you want, you can actually look for certain or further confirmation on the shorter time frame and look for potential entry in terms of investment wise. But to me, this is definitely a great region to be getting in terms of buying pressure and momentum. And this green zone is being breached. The next one, let me just move this thing down. So this is definitely another great zone to be buying in, which is the reason why I also bought in over here. If on the other hand, we do consolidate further towards the downside, then the next potential target would definitely be this 18 to 20K mark. Could we potentially revisit there? My answer is yes, we could. How long could we visit there or even lower? The potential is really hard to say. I'm definitely very keen to earn a lot more position if it ever comes revisit this region again. All right, with that said, in terms of trading setup on the 4 hour, I don't see any trading setup in that perspective. I was actually waiting for clear rejection of this 20 exponential moving average. However, as you can see, it didn't actually manage to retest this nicely except just over here. So there was somewhat like a descending triangle over here. You can actually trade below it on a breakout trade. I didn't trade based on that. I did trade on another systematic approach and took some small little profit. But those kind of systematic trade typically goes for fixed risk to reward, especially for short setup. All right, with that said, I've come to the end of today and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.